Can we get the clap?
That was so mid
in the podcast.
And I'm in.
Awesome. I love that. That was worse.
That was
just getting worse.
It used to be that I have this
you got
problem with my hand, but
fixed.
I haven't been able to clap for 15, 20 years. And now this is the first time I can clap.
Because they were like this.
Yeah. And
so you were making the...
It was absolutely.
Remember that when you were kids and you were trying to make that noise?
I do. I can tell this podcast is going to go downhill.
It's going to be so much fun.
But that's, listen, T, that's what I love about this. We get to have our friends on. We get to have leaders in Jacksonville. I've really had a lot of fun with Speakeasy. And as you know, before I came over to the chamber, I worked in the construction industry and was able to hang out with all of the builders in Jacksonville. And I always wanted, in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, man, it would have been so cool if I could have been a builder, because you get to walk away from something that you've worked so hard on and see your accomplishment, and it's like tangible. And today we have one of the finest in Jacksonville who is in the industry, and his business has been a leader for generations here in Jacksonville. And one of the things I was going to tell you, he's been begging to come on this podcast, begging. Like every time I see him, he's like, dude, when are you going to bring me on the podcast? It's like anytime you get a camera in front of Paul Jones, man, he's just loving that.
Yeah.
Thriving.
The truth is, he does not seek the limelight. And one of my dear friends, and we're so honored to have you on Speakeasy, Paul Jones, CEO of WWGay, a Jacksonvillian through and through. Welcome to Speakeasy, bro.
Thank you for having me. Grateful to be here. Just a real quick summary. I've been with WWGay for 27 years. So I
mean, you're like 30 years old. So, I mean, geez.
I did start when I was 17. And that's where I do love that my career started with, my grandfather founded the company, WWGay. And so he would ask me what my last day of school was, because that was going to be my first day of work.
Mm-hmm.
So every summer he would say, all right, when's the last day of school? Because that next Monday I was going to be out back working with the boys.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Establishing a work ethic early, right?
Absolutely. And he put me with the best. So again, like you said, Jacksonvillian. I do like to claim I was born in Augusta, Georgia. My dad's from Augusta. He was going to medical school. And so born in Augusta, moved to Jacksonville shortly after that. But did, again, high school, my jobs,
You may be a candidate for the worst, being able to do, because TJ and I kind of fight over who had the worst job growing up. You may be a candidate. We'll get back to your story, but what was the toughest, hardest summer job that you had at WWGay?
I mean, the first one, for sure. Just realizing what it takes to get a real, true day's work. We were summer help. We do it now, but they created projects. Hey, move those bags of concrete from here to there. Okay. When we finish, it's like, all right, now move them back.
Move them back.
And I do think there was a rack, angle iron rack, and they would just have me reorganize it. And these sticks at angle, however much they weigh.
Can you explain what an angle iron rack is? Because most people probably don't know.
So angle iron is, just a steel component, structural steel. Again, we would use it for making frames or various things to carry hangers for our pipe, different things like that. And so, guys pull it out, cut a piece, throw it back in the rack. Well, when they do that, it's not organized. So it was my job to organize it. And it's just pulling 25-foot links out, putting it back in, 20 links out, put it back in. And you're just hoisting this heavy, dirty. So by the time I was done for the day, you wouldn't recognize me.
Right.
And unfortunately, that rack's not in the same place in the shop, or else I would point it out on every tour we do. But I do point out the racks that I built when I was in high school. They're still there in our shop.
And the good thing about it is the warehouse was air conditioned and
clean.
You had climate control. There's no heat of the summer. I mean,
as air conditioned today as it was then. Yeah, we do have fans now. But I do. You asked about the hardest job. I specifically remember the day I was working with Robert Kelly, and this man was great to me. He really helped me tremendously in my work ethic. He's a man of faith. Every day we'd pray at lunch. He was extremely helpful to me, and he looked out for me. He wanted me to be successful. He loved my grandfather. He loved my family. But we were in Moose Haven parking lot working on the water main, and we were about 12 feet deep, surrounded by limestone, paving, just...
Like you're in the ground.
Oh, yeah. It's probably 130 degrees in there. And he looked at me and he said, "Does it feel like you're 6 inches from the pit of hell?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "All right, you going to do better in college this semester?" And I said, "Absolutely." And again, every day he would point out something to me to try and make me better. And, again, I love the work. I love the field. It's what you said. When you're done with your day's work, you did something. You get to see it. It's that analogy of you cut the grass, right? There's nothing better than freshly cut lawn because you did all that. And again, 6 inches from the pit of hell. And then, we finished for the day and he said, "All right, meet me back here at 6:15 tomorrow morning." And you're like,
life
all right.
lessons, life lessons.
I remember that and how much I looked forward to lunch because you could at least find some shade. And I always took a lunch, and every once in a while, my boss would take me to go get lunch.
Yeah.
But that was just, in a weird way, the best feeling of the day was to go get underneath a tree, eat the peanut butter and honey sandwiches that you made, and get back. You had to get back to work, but man, that was just such a good feeling to go to lunch after you've been digging all morning.
For sure.
So we need to back up, and we want to know your story. And I know your family, but I don't think Jacksonville does. And I think it'd be really good to hear about what it was like for you when you grew up. You moved to Jacksonville at a young age. Y'all were Jacksonville family through and through, but what was it like in your house?
It was a great experience. I mean, wonderful family. My dad's a doctor. He just retired a month ago. But dad's a doctor. My mom ran his practice for him. Not going to get much sympathy for being a kid of a doctor, but they were running a small business. And I got to see all of those things early on. And I got to be a latchkey kid. Me and my sister, when we were done with school, we walked home, went to Stockton, walked home and had the day to ourselves until our parents got home from work. We always joke, my dad, being a doctor, he would come home and play soccer or play out in the yard in his suit because as soon as he got home, it was ready to play.
Spend time, yeah.
We played basketball, soccer, all that stuff. And again, just a great little neighborhood. The fun thing is I live now 2 streets over from where I grew up.
That's cool.
So my kids are riding their bikes on the same streets I was. Live across the street from my childhood best friend. It's just all the nostalgia of our neighborhood. And, again, great childhood. Parents encouraging and telling us that we can do whatever we want to do. And again, for me, the thing that's great for me is I loved construction as a kid. I don't know that it would have mattered if my grandfather didn't have the business that he did, but I just loved construction. So it was definitely in the blood. And again, it's really fun that I could grow up and not have a clue what we did, but just hear the stories like, oh, it's a great company. And I didn't even know why.
Right.
But then now to be a part of that legacy is outstanding. Again, went to high school at St. John's Country Day School. Great environment for me. Small high school. Guy like me got to participate in any sport he wanted to, whether I was athletic enough or not.
When did you graduate from St. John's?
2000.
Okay. A little bit younger than us.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we played St. John's Country Day in basketball, baseball.
Back when Paul was in first grade.
Yeah. Yep. So.
But, it's a great school. And it's a great, I love, the town of Orange Park and Clay County is such a rich environment for families and conservative values here in Northeast Florida. And it's fun to have them right next door to us. And I love St. John's. That was a great school. And
yeah, when we actually moved out to Orange Park because both my sister and I were at St. John's. And so then golf became a big part of my life. Played golf every day. And it's pretty wild now looking back in Jack's. One of the guys I played against, Andy Allen.
Yeah.
got to spend a lot of time with a guy named Chris Hagan on the golf course.
Yeah,
You know,
that's unfortunate.
he was terrible at golf. But
we'll make sure that we send that clip to him. That's gonna be a good
had
one.
to feed
But
that in there.
yeah, dude, Paul can play some golf.
I was gonna ask,
Yeah.
what's your handicap right now?
I'm 7. So
Pretty impressive.
Don't bet him.
I mean, for a guy like me that plays a few times a year, I love it. I just don't play it very much. That's pretty good. I mean,
It's a little hot right now to get out there. We were begging
In
Paul to come
Florida,
out and
yeah.
play with us the other day, and he's like, "No, fellas, not in the summertime."
yeah, let's go at 12:30
Yeah,
in July.
yeah. It was a great day. We all missed you. So, you're at St. John's. You always had a desire to be a part of the construction industry. I mean, I think that at some point you're probably starting to realize, hold on a second, WW Gay is like a cornerstone in Jacksonville. And then you start thinking, what am I going to do with my life? And then, so what was next? What was the next step?
Well, I do want to take it back
Sure.
further too. I
Yeah.
told you, grew up in the neighborhood, went to Stockton. What's really important about that is in kindergarten, I met a girl named Kristen Thompson,
Mm.
and we went to school together from kindergarten to 9th grade.
I did not know that.
kindergarten.
Wow.
So, kindergarten, 9th grade, Kristen and I went to school together. Married her, 21 years ago. But it's a pretty special that our relationship, we grew up together. We didn't start dating until senior year of college, but we've known each other our whole life. And so we can tell stories about each other's
Sure.
friends from
Yeah.
2nd grade, 3rd grade. I mean, she just asked me about a friend that was in the neighborhood yesterday, like, hey, you remember this girl? And I'm like, yeah. And again, it's pretty wild we go
So
that far back.
were you close friends throughout that
We were
time?
best friends,
So,
yep.
okay. And so you would date other people, she would date other people, and then y'all would talk to each other about.
No, I never dated anybody but her.
Nope.
Nope.
And
Okay.
No,
Not
yes.
going there.
You've never loved anybody but her. I get it.
But no, she was. I mean, I always knew she was special to me for sure, and
Yeah.
I think she did too. So, but yeah, we had that path, and again, getting to come back together through college.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So wait, we gotta explore this conversation, because I didn't know that you've known Kristen since kindergarten. So you're 5 years old. You definitely are best friends. There is a point in the relationship where you look at each other in a weird way, and like this isn't just friendship anymore. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What happened? I mean, did you hear the Andy Allen story about how he met his Kristen? We almost had to cut it. We almost had to cut it from the podcast, so don't make it that bad.
Andy always lands on his feet, so that worked out. No, for me, I invited her to a function my senior year of college,
Okay.
and so she'll kill me, but it was wildly awkward.
Was she at Florida?
She went to Auburn.
Okay.
And so the function was great. We had a great time spending the weekend together. And then she wanted me to drop her off at the corner so she didn't have to have that awkward moment. So I was like, can I please take your bags to the, where you're going? She's like, nope. So I talked to a good friend, and she was like, no, I think this is good. I think she's nervous. So I called her and I was like, hey, I didn't invite you to stay best friends. And she's like, well, it's about time.
That is a stud move. I didn't invite you to stay best friends. What a line, bro. Get it up.
That's my
Paul
version,
Jones.
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
She
Fortunately, she's
remembers
not
it
here.
a little differently,
Yeah.
maybe, but that's when you declared your love, or at least your like, for her.
Yeah, we only dated for a few months after that and got engaged. And
Wow.
so that took us, again, she was at Auburn, I was at Florida. I only applied to one college.
Mm-hmm.
I had to be a Gator. I was 3rd generation Gator. And she was a 2nd generation Auburn. Some of us in the room love Auburn too. War Eagle. But so she got a job before I did. She graduated before I did. And so she got a job in Orlando. And so the plan was, engage, get married, live in Jax. And she got the job down in Orlando. So I went and talked to our Orlando office, and thought it'd be a great move for me. It was a smaller operation. I mean, much smaller. There was 40 people working there,
Right.
versus 1,000 up here. And I thought it'd be a great way for me to make an impact in the company, learn a little bit more. Working with my grandfather was the greatest thing for me. but I don't think I would have learned the business. He would have had me go to his meetings or go to his lunches and do his different things, which I got to do quite a bit anyway. But so again, I got to learn the business kind of ground up. Again, at University of Florida, I was working in the Gainesville office. I worked on service trucks while I was in college. So I learned as much as I could, as quickly as I could, and then worked on the largest project that we had going as an intern my senior year.
So in your bio, I noticed you have you had a mechanic certification or some type of degree
License,
surrounding that, as well as a contractor, as well as a plumber. I mean, you've done quite a bit of all of the business, right?
I try. So my degree is building construction from University of Florida. And so as soon as I was eligible, I got every license I could. So licensed general contractor, mechanical contractor, and plumbing contractor in the state of Florida. So I carry all licenses for the state.
Now you can say, look, I've done all the stuff that y'all are doing or that you have done, and
try to. I mean, I'm not gonna push it too hard.
There's some tough dudes back in their house. It's kind of like you don't tell them this, you just do it, and then after 20 years, you earn respect to where you could lead. So.
The funny thing is, the person that I first worked for that first summer, John Combs, he just retired last week with the company for 47 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so again, there's something really special in our company. We just celebrated a 50-year anniversary. He's still working for us. And then a retiree at 47 years. And we still have several more people with more than 45 years with the company. But they've been with the company longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
And I asked one person, Leroy Smith, I said, hey, how long have you been with the company? When I was down in Orlando, he goes, I remember when you were born.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Got it. So when you said you worked on one of the biggest projects when you were an intern, what was that?
UF Cancer Genetics.
So just so people understand what WWGA is, can you kind of explain what the company does and what
Absolutely.
the lines are?
So we're heavy commercial, industrial, mechanical contractor. We specialize in healthcare, higher education, sports entertainment, industrial, manufacturing, food and beverage. So again, Cancer Genetics is a research facility. So we were doing all the piping systems in there for laboratory systems, air conditioning, plumbing, standard stuff. But that project specifically probably had, 16 to 20 different systems in that one building. So again, our where we thrive is the complicated, difficult projects. Lab spaces have much higher requirements, certifications, various commissioning, all these different things. That is where we thrive.
It's incredible when you think about all the stuff that goes into that. You see the finished product, but you don't see the behind the scenes. And I'm sure it's pretty fascinating to go on a construction site and see all the different stuff that it takes to
We love it.
run all of that.
And I don't think, most people, like when you're trying to explain to the average listener what you do, it's basically everything they don't see.
Very true. And the fun thing for us too is with our diversity of style of work. We do heavy industrial mills, and those guys never see the inside of a building. I mean, they're working in just really tough environments. Have a guy that worked for us. He would always describe the work that we did as hot, heavy, and dangerous. And then the hotter, heavier, and more dangerous, then we're going to be there. That's on our the GP, Anheuser-Busch, just mills. That kind of industrial work, again, very, very difficult work. Then you go into hospitals, like the cleanest environment, the labs, the Johnson & Johnson, the clean room spaces where you have to wear, special outfits to make sure that you're not bringing in any contaminants to a space versus rolling around in a paper mill. So it's a great spread of work that we have.
How do you determine what market you're going to get into next? Like how big are you right now? Obviously you're Jacksonville based company, but how big are you now, and how do you determine how you're going to expand that?
3 major offices is how we started: Jacksonville, Gainesville, and Orlando.
Okay.
We started all those in 1962. Since then we've grown into Tallahassee, Savannah. We have an office in Fort Meade. We have an office in Tampa. We have Daytona. So our 5-year plan was to diversify our geographical footprint. We've been very fortunate in those 3 major markets that I mentioned to have the work that we have over the last 65 years almost. But to grow into a new market, we're doing market studies. We're showing, here's the markets that we want to be in. Like I just mentioned, the healthcare, sports, entertainment, industrial. So again, that's what's beautiful about Jacksonville is it has everything we need to grow. You've got the military bases. You've got all the healthcare systems. You've got outstanding healthcare systems too, and numerous ones. And then you have the Jaguars is going on, Stadium of the Future.
So what all are you doing for the new stadium?
That one's mechanical only. So we're doing all the air conditioning and piping work for the stadium. That's
a big deal.
That's a big fun one. Yeah.
Yeah. And has it been have there been a lot of hiccups or is it going smooth? How's the work?
So far, everything's going smooth.
Yeah.
We have a great team out there. We definitely put some of the strongest folks out there, and we're leading the charge. We're putting things in place now that are not even close to called for on the schedule. Make sure we're ahead of the game. It'll pay off for us and for the whole team. So, again, that's our largest contract that we've performed, I believe. And it's definitely the most high profile and very proud to be a part of it.
It's really cool to think about the fact that, the company started here and it's grown and expanded out to all these other markets, but then you're back here doing your biggest and maybe best.
And special, for sure.
Most special that.
When it's one of those two, I always appreciated people before me that had been there for a long time that got to do the work to install it and then get to replace the work that they put in as either field or manager. And we've been a part of every Jacksonville stadium. So this is stadium renovation number.
We're not missing this.
Cool.
Yeah.
Got to be a part of it.
So that kind of brings me to a question. You mentioned your grandfather. I met Mr. Gay the first time when I was running for city council when I was 25. And I will tell you, the first time I met him, he just went straight into grilling me on my position on government and Jacksonville and all this stuff. But man, a legend, Jacksonville legend. There are a handful of folks that literally built the city that we love, and he was one of them. Tell us a little bit about Mr. Gay and what your fondest memory or memories of him. And you talked about him putting you to work early, but just the lessons that guy could teach and how much he loved our city. And anybody running for office had to go sit in his office if they wanted to get anywhere. What was that like?
I mean, some of my most favorite moments are just sitting in his chair, the same chair you sat in to go talk to him. At the end, he really came into the office just to see people, right? I mean, it was read the paper and then just talk to anybody that walked by. And like you said, he was such a man of influence with politics in Jacksonville, knowing anything that was going to happen before it happened. Pure work ethic, rugged individualism, just a man of integrity. I mean, again, he's hands down my hero. I looked up to him in just such admiration. He just always made me feel like the most important person in the room. And I think about it now, I was a little kid or I was in high school or in college and I'd walk by, hey son, come in here, Bo. It didn't matter what meeting it was. It didn't matter if it was with the mayor or it did not matter who was in that room. He was having me in there. Come sit with me, son. I want you to come listen to this. Tell me what you think when we're done. And I don't know if he really thought my opinion mattered, but he made me feel like it did. It's hard to put him into words, really. Just such a powerful force. I was just telling the story earlier. It was so great because he was such an amazing, generous, incredible man.
Generosity was a big deal for him.
Absolutely. He came from nothing. So that's what's important. He knew he came from nothing. He earned everything he had, and he expected everyone else to work for what they got as well. He had a great saying that his mom taught him, but you get back more than you give. And he truly believed that. Anything you give
comes back.
The return's much greater. So he had this great reputation as being the nice old man, always have time for you to come sit. We were driving in from lunch, and he sees a guy leaning against the fence post, smoking a cigarette. He stops, rolls down the window. "Hey, son, how you doing?" "Good, Mr. Gay." Goes to the parking spot, walks in, calls up Carl Bowles and says, "Hey, fire that guy. He was leaning against the fence post." So he was smooth,
Yeah. The guy didn't even know what was coming. Shouldn't have been smoking a cig up against the fence post, man.
There's little peeves he had.
Go around the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Paul, you've seen so many milestones with the company, and I'm sure there's been many things to celebrate and probably some things that maybe you didn't want to have happen, but on the other side of them, you've seen, the benefits of going through whatever that challenge was. There's one in particular I'm thinking of that occurred just a few years ago with the fire. Can you talk to the viewers, the listeners, about what happened in that incident as far as it was a pretty massive thing, and then how you were resilient, the company was resilient through the process of rebuilding, redesigning, and how you're better on the other side? I know that was a lot to put out there, but
yeah, go through the story.
Yeah, we want to.
August 31st. So more importantly, March 31st of 2020. So the world changed in March of 2020 with COVID. My grandfather passed March 31st. And so then 5 months later to the day, August 31st, we had the fire. And I got the call at 2:15 in the morning. It was that same John Combs that just retired 47 years ago, or worked with us for 47 years. And he said, "Paul, there's ladder trucks here, and it looks bad." And I got to the shop about 2:30, and we just stood on the side of the road and watched it burn. The crazy thing was the fire started in my grandfather's office. So he had passed. Nothing had been touched in that office. Nothing. None of us had the strength or wanting to go touch anything.
Yeah,
it was just needed to stay the way it was. And again, very grateful for the Jacksonville Fire Department. It was pretty wild how they fought, and they did it I think a lot of it out of respect for my grandfather, who he was to the community. But there is something pretty unique about walking through a building that you've been through your entire life with no power, and it smelled so strongly of smoke and soot, and you're up to your ankles in water from all the fire. There's ceiling tiles down on the ground everywhere because they're so soaked they just fall to the ground. There's just building materials all over the place because they were using, it was everything that you see, they axing through walls to get to it to put out the flames. And another, fun thing about my grandfather, the way he renovated a building is instead of tearing it out and putting it in the right way, he would just put a ceiling over the ceiling to save that much work. So that was really the downfall of this fire, is it traveled between all of our ceilings. So wherever they put it out, it was still traveling through the next channel through the rest of the building. But so, I always said that there was a lot of things that we couldn't do while my grandfather was alive, and there's a lot of things we couldn't do once he was gone. It started in his office. Everything in there was destroyed. All the stories that he told, all the memorabilia he had in there, all the pictures that he had of all of his friends, just all gone in a moment. And the first picture that we had from the fire was the hole through the ceiling and sun shining down onto what remained of his desk. And it felt like, we're good.
Yeah.
Here you go, son. Fresh start. And
that's really good, bro.
So many wild just circumstances. One of the first things I did was I changed our ERP, our accounting systems, and all these different things. We were very old school. We were all paper. And the day that we went live on the new stuff that put us, cloud-based, modern, was September 1. If we had done that a week later, we would have lost everything. We literally had it timed perfectly to not lose anything, even though the fire happened the day before.
Wow.
Incredible. The other thing is,
Well, that's divine.
absolutely,
That doesn't happen by chance.
we had there was WBK Fire Protection. They're now Scions. They were in our building. They subleased for ever, right? They moved out July. The fire happened in August, so there was 50 open offices for us to take over. Like it had been occupied. Literally less than 4 weeks earlier, we wouldn't have anywhere to go. They moved out. So we were able to continue operating. I mean, we were working out of all sorts of different spaces. If there was 5 square feet, we had a computer in there. So, it was a challenging time. One of the things I was most proud of is went out to dinner that weekend with some friends, and I heard them asking Kristen. They're like, "Hey, how's Paul doing?" And she looked at him and said, "Honestly, if I didn't know that there was a fire, then I wouldn't know at all." So I do my best to compartmentalize all the stuff that happens at work, but to be able to compartmentalize,
that would be a tough one. You must be a pro at compartmentalizing things. If
really proud of that.
Yeah. So how did that force you to be innovative? Obviously, you're figuring out spaces wherever you could find to operate out of, but as far as design and construction of the new space, what went into that as far as it's probably whatever you could dream at that point, right?
Well, it took us a while to be able to put energy into the new building.
Yeah.
So we operated for almost 2 years out of our temporary spaces. We were in buildings across the street and existing buildings. I mean, we were everywhere. If you didn't need a desk, then go work on a job site. So it was definitely challenging. I mean, we didn't really have meeting spaces. I can tell you that everybody that went through that will never take our building for granted now. Again, great opportunity for us to build for the future of our company. It's what we needed. Again, we never would have done anything to my grandfather's office. We never would have. It was just too difficult to destroy history like that.
Right.
But the fire took care of that for us. And so now we have a great space. We can recruit and create the best environment for our people for years to come, generations. And again, it's still wild to just think back of where we were. I mean, I met you in our old building, and everything was fine until you had a guest come to see you, right? Because then
it was a maze. It was kind of, built on as he expanded.
Rat traps in the hallways, and like you had to turn sideways to walk down the narrow hallways, and the lights weren't working, and then it's like, CEO of the chamber's coming to see us. Maybe we could turn the lights on. Anyway, but so now we're just in a great place, and again, I got to work side by side cleaning out junk from, covered in ash with coworkers and folks that just came in. The people that just from the community that would come and help had nothing to do with us. It was pretty special.
Cool. Somebody that your grandfather touched, and he, like so many people, he helped along the way. And I think that's kind of probably why the firefighters are like, dude, we got to do everything we can, because they knew what he meant to Jacksonville. And I don't know if you've been through the new headquarters, but Paul's done a lot of cool things to bring some of the old into the new. And we don't have to keep talking about the building, but I love it. So can you just talk about a little bit about how you kind of kept that memory in some of the rooms? And then I do have some questions about where you see the future of Jacksonville and the vision.
So we named every conference room something to honor the history of the company. So the first room you see is 1962, the year we were founded. We have Pecky Cypress. So my grandfather's office and board conference room was lined in Pecky Cypress. And it was a gift from a friend, pulled out of the riverbeds. And so it was always special to him. And so we have saved, what was able to, be repaired and salvaged. We have that in our conference room, Pecky Cypress.
I remember that. I mean, I remember the walls, and it was just like, as soon as I saw it when I walked in, I was like, oh, I know where that's from.
Exactly. So, we have Alligator Alley. We got a conference room dedicated to the University of Florida Gators. So we
Are
did
you a
everything.
fan of the Gators? I mean, I don't know.
How did you feel
yeah.
about walking into that room?
It's fine. I've got a Gator at the house.
Yeah?
So yeah.
I've been to plenty
Yeah.
of Gator games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, we always want to honor the past, but got to move forward.
Yeah.
So to be such a big company, it feels kind of like a big family. How many of those generational employees that have been there for 40 plus, how many of their kids are now working? Is that a thing that, the next generation works for WW Gate?
Definitely. I mean, it's again, one of the things that makes us special is having the next generation coming up. And I mean, there's one I can think of right off the top of my head who's doing a great job for us. He works hard. He's excited about the brand and the company because his dad worked there. And, again, there's a special bond that comes from working in our company for sure. Just a lot of great history. Again, Tom Smith's our president and COO and
Great dude.
He's amazing. And again, just the way that we as a company care on a level that I do think sets us apart. I mean, he's the first one to go to a hospital room. He finds out somebody's kid's sick, or just last week, somebody got in a motorcycle accident, praying with him, sitting with him in a waiting room as their mom's about to pass. Just he's been a major support to all of us, and his faith is something that resonates throughout our building for sure.
Jacksonville is blessed with a handful of companies that have somehow made it through second and third generation. Usually family companies that hand it off to the next generation or even the next generation, the odds of success are very low. Why has WWGA been successful in a family generational company? I think you've talked around the edges, but what do you see in like Henry Brown with Miller and what they've done since he took over? It's just not normal in most cases. What's your thoughts on? What are your thoughts on that?
It's a great question for us. It almost feels like we're second generation. My grandfather and his cronies stayed until they're in their 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a group of folks that never got to go beyond a certain point. And it was actually something I talked about. Our CFO retired at like 52 or something. And I raised my hand and I was like, hey, is anybody concerned that the second generation's retiring before the first?
Right.
And, I think for me, my grandfather, wildly generous, obviously, but he also had just a expectation of a work ethic. And so if you didn't have it, it wasn't going to work. And so, at this point, all we do is push and create a culture of excellence. And if you're not striving to be better, if you're not trying to improve 1% every day, then the culture's, it's very different than it used to be. My grandfather did a lot of great things and built an incredibly strong foundation for us to build on. But it's night and day different.
Mm-hmm. New systems. You went from old school to how did the employees take the transition? The ones that had been there for so long. I can only imagine you trying to talk these guys into no, we're moving to a new system when they've been doing something the same way for 40 years.
So,
and we can cut this out.
There's a lot of resistance.
Yeah.
It was pretty clear very quickly who was on the bus and who was hopping off. Didn't have to push some. Some just got off at the first bus stop. But, I have said I have the privilege of knowing that after 40 years at a company, the person is either 100% bought in or has no ability to change.
Yeah.
40 years it's a big number, right? You don't have to deal with it very often, but we did have a lot of those 40 plus members that were all in.
Mm-hmm.
They loved it. They loved the company. They loved my grandfather. They loved the next step too. But I can tell you, I mean, the one piece that is difficult for me is that when my son was born, so we moved back to Jacksonville in 2018 to take over as president. And so we had my 2 girls, and Kristen was pregnant with Judge. When we moved here, the amount of stress that I was under when we first moved back, like there's a lot of resentment really to not even remembering like 18 months of Judge's life. I do remember it, but it's just not vivid like it was. I get it, man. Yeah. So there were some pretty hard, difficult times. So.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. I can't believe we're coming close to the end of the podcast, and I don't want it to end. You mentioned, TJ talking about, dude, we're all faced with some type of unexpected tragedy at some point, or difficulty in leadership, or something that's just thrown a curveball your way, and I'm not so sure being able to compartmentalize is such a bad thing. I mean, I feel like I've been through a couple of those valleys like you, and you just got to show up to work the next day, and sometimes just power through it, even though you may be a shell of a person while you're doing it. The people that are looking to you and your leadership kind of need you to be the even keel in the middle of the storm, and like when you come in and are starting to change the way your grandfather did it for 40 years, that's not going to be received easy. And it's probably tearing you up to know all these people are probably, as soon as you walk out of the room, not super happy with you.
Hey, I told him, I said, you got to understand that you're lucky it's me. If we'd hired an external CEO to come in here, it would have been you, and you. You're fired.
You're gone.
But I knew who they were. I mean, I grew up with them. And so I knew there was some good fabric in there, and we needed to make it work. And there were some other folks where I was like, hey, this isn't working out. And 2, I'll tell you, like, the biggest curveball, Daniel, is, losing my mom. So it was, like I said, March 31st, 2020, lost my grandfather. August 31st, had the fire. August 19th, 2021, lose my mom. And like that 18 months, like I just told you, so I can't really, necessarily blame the leadership trials I was going through, but the family stuff, and I do want to put out there, my dad is like one of the greatest men in the world, and
every time I see him in the gym, I'm like, "Hey, Doc," or occasionally on the golf course with you. He's just such a kind person.
He is. He is the greatest man. Just again, absolute integrity. Never heard the man say a bad word about anybody.
Yeah.
That's kind of what separates me and him. Again, just amazing admiration for my dad. But for him to have to go through, again, they met in, freshman year of college, and he never having a day away from my mom. As I told you, she ran his office for him, and they worked together every day. And so, losing mom on top of all these things, my mom was, obviously a cheerleader, but she was on our board.
Yeah.
She was part of our company, and there was very few things that, made her more proud than seeing my success of the company and, some of the awards that got to come with the position. And so it's really challenging, some of the things that you get to accomplish and her not see it. But
she's watching
for sure.
Yeah. So you've been kind enough to serve at the chamber and at Jax USA. Your leadership is continuing to grow, and you've served in many leadership spots voluntarily in Jacksonville. But your time at Jax USA, which if people don't know what that is, it's our economic development organization that brings all the jobs to Jacksonville, headquarter reloads. Tell me about your experience with Jax USA. Why do you love it? Why do you care to serve when you really don't have to? You could just go work your day-to-day job at WWA, but I think maybe you see the bigger side of it.
I told you how great Jacksonville is for our company, specifically because of all the industry that's here. But Jax USA does a great job of selling our city, right? And so what's easier than a person that loves the city of Jacksonville to then just go sell how great we are? Jax USA has been a great experience. I love the community network. Andre, it's a blessing to be a part of it. Just honored that I get to do it and asked to do it. It goes back to, again, when I first came back to Jax, I was at a junior achievement, lifetime achievement award. My grandfather won and Harry Frisch. And his award ceremony speech was awesome. And it was very simple, but he said, I love the city of Jacksonville. The city of Jacksonville is the greatest city in the world. I love Jacksonville. The city of Jacksonville is the greatest city in the world. And he said that probably 20 times in his, I think you were there.
Mm-hmm.
He said that as his acceptance speech. And I just sat back and I was like, how cool is it that this guy who has immense success just loves our city?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a pure love for the city of Jacksonville. And what better way to serve than Jack's USA with the chamber,
Sure.
considering all we get to do is talk about how great Jacksonville is.
It's a pretty good story. I mean, it's when we're pitching to other companies or communities,
It's tough to
got
beat.
got a pretty good story, man. I love it too. We ask each guest to bring a show and tell. Yours probably is the heaviest I've ever seen. Let me put it on the table, or you can grab it, put it on the table. I don't want to drop it. And then you can tell all of our viewers what you have.
All right. This is our logo.
Got to wait till you talk into the mic.
So that's that right there.
That is literally your logo.
It's our logo. It's a pipe vise. It's old school. What's neat about that is one of the things that's great about construction is really no matter how much advancements we have,
Mm-hmm.
it really kind of takes the same methodology to get a job done.
Mm-hmm.
There's newer and different ways of, pipe vices, but that's just original, old school. And
so you just vice down with, and then
your pipe
do you
would be
get the
going
pipe
through there.
hot to bend it, or how does that work?
Not for us. We don't do tube bending typically, but so your pipe would be in there. You could put your fitting on there, either thread it or solder it.
Right.
So again, it's just your portable workbench.
Yeah.
But again, that one's got some good life to it.
So it says 11/19/14. Does that mean it's been in your possession since 1914? I assume.
I want to say yes.
Yeah. I mean, the answer is yeah.
That's a good story. It makes for a good story.
It's number 1914, and 1915 is right behind it.
In all honesty, it's a total prop. We just got it because it's a really cool looking pipe vise.
It's a paperweight, right?
But it's been in my family for 100 years. So.
Oh, wow. That's a better story. I do want to say, if that for the viewers or the listeners, I had a chance to, when running for office, walking through and meeting the hardworking folks at WWGA, and it's just good quality, hardworking people, man. And they're just putting food on the table for their families. And Paul and I are talking, and sparks are going off in the background because they're, grinding and building and putting together the fittings for the next hospital in Jacksonville. And it's just good people. And the amount of food that you put on people's tables, man, it's got to be when you put your head on your pillow at night, and it's a good feeling.
Listen, I love my job. I'm very proud of what we do. I'm extremely proud of our people. Again, they hear this from me all the time, but the only thing that sets us apart, there's a lot of mechanical contractors out there. There's a lot of plumbers. And the only thing that makes us different is our people. And to this day, we do a lot of tours and we drive through our shops. I think it's cool every single time to see those sparks flying, to see those turntables going and the welds happening. And again, we just have really great, hardworking folks taking care of us, and I do my best to take care of them.
What an amazing legacy that your family's built. And now you get to carry it on and into the future, innovate a little bit, and continue to do the great work that WWGA has always done.
Yeah, we're striving to be leaders in our industry and in our community, and create opportunities for our people. It's tough to beat. Like I said, I love my job. I love that I get to be a part of it. To continue a legacy that was outstanding to begin with, and try to make it a little better. And just grateful for the opportunity.
Can we toast to WWGA?
Let's do it. How about we toast to Mr. Gay?
Yeah.
Cheers.
All those times. Cheers.
Thank you, guys.
Paul, thanks. I think the viewers and the listeners probably know how busy you are with all the projects we talked about. And for you to take an hour out of your time to come in and talk to us, man, we really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on Speakeasy.
Absolutely.